Well, hey there, it's Catherine from CatherinePooler.com. In a recent YouTube live video, I showed 5 different ways to use cover plates. One of the techniques I played with was the inlaid die cutting technique, as you can see in this card here. I will link to the video below so you can go check it out. I thought it would be fun to revisit this technique using different types of dies. So in this video, we will do several different techniques, use 2 different dies, and make 3 cards. The first card I'm going to make in this video is using these gorgeous rose dies. I die cut them several times and I'm going to do some simple coloring. So I'm going to show you several different ways to do this. Some of these ways are better than others. So pick and choose your favorites. So I'm using my ink blending brush and I'm just blending right over the top of that die cut to get some great color on there. You can also just press your ink pad right on top of the die cut and you will get really nice even coverage of ink onto your die cut. You can also do direct to paper and smush your ink pad on your cardstock before you even run it through your die cutting machine. You can also ink blend onto your cardstock before you run it through the die cutting machine. So then I wanted to do inlaid die cutting. So I'm taking the positive of that die and just putting some liquid adhesive on it and then adhering it to a white piece of cardstock. And then I'm going to add some liquid glue in the open spots and take the pink negative pieces and inlay them into this die cut. So if you've done the inlaid die cutting technique before, you may know other ways to adhere your little pieces into the sections and inlay them and get them in there. We're going to look at another way in a minute. This gorgeous set of rose dies, it's called the Rose Duo. They were a Sursee subscription back in February, and I think they're just stunning. If you're a Club Sursee subscriber and you've missed any of our previous months, you can log into the shop and there will be a special section for you there. It's called Club Sursee Exclusives, and you're able to shop any of our previous subscription products. Those are all at regular price, but when you are a subscriber, each current shipment is a great discounted rate for you. So once you're done inlaying all of the little pieces, you're going to take a sharp pair of scissors. I love my Cutter Bee scissors. They're very sharp and pointed all the way down to the tip. And then you just trim off all of that excess cardstock. And what you're left with is this gorgeous die cut rose with pink and white inlaid die cutting. So now for an easier way to do this, I have some adhesive. So this is just like a tape runner. Any kind of tape runner that you have on hand will do. You can also use liquid adhesive or stick-it adhesive sheets. And I'm just going to coat a whole little scrap piece of white cardstock. And then I'm doing the opposite on this one. So I'm just doing the pink positive die cut, and then I have another die cut that has all the most of the pieces still kind of in there, and then I'm just going to take it and lay it over the top of the pink one, and I'm just going to poke through each little piece, and it will just puzzle piece right into that pink positive die cut. So this way is much quicker, and just like that, I've got a couple die cut roses, and they're opposite of each other, and I think they are so adorable. Now we have these technique pieces and we need a card to put them on. So I thought the flourishes would be gorgeous for a background. The flourishes are from a Sursee stamp set called Sealed with a Kiss. I'm using Melon Ice, which is a really fantastic, almost kind of neon-y spring green color. I'm just stamping it on one side of the card, turning that cardstock 180 degrees, and then stamping it in the other corner. So we have a flourish coming in from the top and the bottom. And then it's time to assemble the card. I did one more flower here, so I have 2 of the large and 1 of the small. And I'm just going to layer them in a little rose cluster toward the bottom right hand side of the card. And then I have the Hello Fabulous that I stamped with Wow embossing ink and embossed it with white embossing powder. So white embossing on black cardstock is always such a striking combination. And I just have a little bit of foam tape on the back there. And then I will just pop that right up on top of these gorgeous trio of roses. So using the same inlaid die cutting technique, let's try it with the backsplash dies. So I die cut 2 of these pattern dies and 1 of the solid. You can use this technique with or without that solid piece, but I went ahead and die cut that. I took the 1 die cut and just turned it over, put on some two-way glue, and I let it dry. This becomes a temporary adhesive. And then I added it to a piece of computer paper just for kind of a temporary hold so that all of my pieces stay together. This isn't a really strong hold, it's temporary. So you'll see at the end, it kind of started coming off a little bit, but all of my pieces stayed together enough for me to be able to work with them. So I used my Versamark embossing ink and just dabbed it on top of this backsplash die. You can see there it just came off of that computer paper. But it's sticking together enough for me to be able to hold it still. And I covered it with my Something Borrowed embossing glitter by Wow. And I'm just going to heat it with my heat tool. So now I have an embossed glittery technique piece to work with. So I'm going to take that second piece and pop out all those white pieces. And then I'm going to adhere this to my white full piece. And then I'll be able to inlay all of my little glitter pieces. So I'm going to add on some liquid glue, adhere that to the base, and I'll be ready to go. I probably should have remembered what I did with the roses and just put adhesive on the whole piece of that solid die cut. It would have been a little bit easier, but I managed nonetheless. So I'm just pulling out the glittery pieces and just inlaying them right into my white piece, and I get a really cool effect when I'm done. Before I assemble these into cards, I wanted to take the second piece and make it even more glittery. So I dabbed it right onto my Versamark ink pad again, and then covered it with the Something Borrowed glitter, and I'm going to heat set it again, and I'm going to get a really nice, thick, beautiful, glittery Something Borrowed technique piece, and I think it looks absolutely gorgeous. For the sentiment, I want navy blue die cut words. So I'm taking my Juniper Mist ink pad and I'm just swiping it across white cardstock to make Juniper Mist cardstock. And then I'm going to die cut this fun little hello sentiment. And then next up, for the first technique piece, I use that die cut base to assemble my inlaid pieces into, but this one I'm going to do straight onto the card. Totally up to you which way you want to do it. I kind of like using the little base and having like a die cut piece with the inlaid and the backing on it. It just feels like then I can put it anywhere on my card. Once I stick that technique piece onto my card, and then I'm kind of married to that spot. Does that make sense? So I'm using a stack of blocks to hold it down and make sure this is laid totally, my technique piece is laid totally flat on my cardstock before I inlay my pieces into it. And meanwhile, while that's drying, I took my other technique piece, added it to my card base, and put my hello die cut on there, using the stack of blocks again just to hold it everything flat so that it dries nice and flat. And then I can move on to the technique piece and inlaying all of my little white die cut pieces. So I just filled in all the open spots with my Nuvo liquid glue, laid in all the little pieces, just inlay them right in there, and such a fun look. I really love this with the glitter. I also love when you can take a die cut and get a 2-for-1 card. So here is a look at both of the cards. Leave me a note. Let me know which card was your favorite from this video, the blue glitter cards with the hello or the inlaid rose die cuts. If you are new here, I hope you will take a second and hit that subscribe button under the video and click the bell so you get notifications for when we have new videos. And thank you so much for being here. I hope you are having a great day hanging in there, and I wish you well. See you next time.